Our family's been here in Glenn County for a little over 100 years, and I'm fourth generation farmer right now. Past generations, the biggest thing on soil health was crop rotation to control diseases, and since that point in time, the focus has changed here, especially with the orchards. On our second generation orchards, we're having a lot of replant disorder diseases and poor health of the trees in the early years, and we finally attributed it to nematodes in the soil, which weakens the trees and leads to secondary infections in the trees. So started looking what we can do to improve the health of the trees. It was about the time the regulations on fumigation were getting really strict and real expensive. And so we started doing some research, and we found out that the mustard family, the brassicas, actually have a nemacidal effect when they decompose in the soil. So we started doing that on first orchard we did, where we planted a cover crop of it. We plant it in the fall, let the winter rains bring it up. You don't have to irrigate it or anything, and then you chop it and work it into the soil. After incorporating it in the spring, we let the field stay fallow for that next summer, and then the following fall we got the field ready for planting, bermed it up, and we went ahead and planted the same cover crop again down the middles between the trees. And then planted the trees, and then even on the second year of the orchard we'd plant in the middles again. And since been doing that, we've done some soil sampling, see what the impacts are, and even 2 years after the last cover crop grown in the orchard, our nematode counts were practically at a zero count. And you go to a neighboring field where we had not done that, and the numbers were in the high hundreds to thousands on the nematode counts. To this day, the orchard 10 years old, and we're seeing no effect from replant disorder, and the growth is actually better than what we had even on some of the first generation orchards here. The health of the trees and the growth we're getting out of them is phenomenal, and it's made a believer out of me that this is a sustainable practice. Some of the challenges with growing a cover crop is it is a few extra steps to get the ground prepared and get it planted, and the cost of planting it and so forth. And then because we want to incorporate it into the soil, we actually will mow the cover crop down, and then right behind it come through and incorporate it into the soil. If it's an open field, we'll use the stubble disc, or if it's between the trees, we'll use a rototiller and incorporate it in the soil. And so those are all costly. It takes fuel and time and energy to do that. Like any farmer, it has to make economic sense. And so, we start looking for solutions, and does the long-term solution, will have an economic benefit to do it? And then, start off small if you need to. If you're not too sure, start off small, give it a try, and then grow from there. And that's what we've done. We've incorporated this practice now into all of our orchards as we take an old orchard out and getting ready to replant. Once the ground is prepared for planting, we generally use a no-till drill to put it in, especially between the trees. Sometimes in an open field where we're broadcasting, we'll fly the seed on depending on the timing. We like to get it into the ground in early November, so some of the first early rains can germinate it, and before the ground gets really cold, so it has a chance to take off. And then once it's going, it's on its own through the whole winter. There's been some concern about the bloom, but does it take away the bees that you have out in your almond orchards or prune orchards for pollination? And so far we've found the bloom comes in after the almond pollination and a little bit before the prune bloom, so it fits in right in between. And University of California, Davis and University of Oregon have both been doing research out here, monitoring the bees out here where they're flying in the orchards and in the brassicas, and monitoring. And so far all the data shows that if you had both out there, the bees still prefer the going out into the orchards, but they've seen no impact from the cover crop taking bees away out of the orchard from the pollination. It's a fairly inexpensive way to solve replant disorder, and it has multiple benefits. There's a big concern about this colony collapse disorder on beehives too. And the beekeepers love it. They wish more people would do it because it gives an alternative food source for the bees in between. They need variety of different pollen and nectar. And my beekeeper actually would wish if I'd plant more of it. But, give it a try is all I can say, because it's worked for me.